For the last couple of weeks, we've been hinting about the project that we've been working on where we finally have it good enough to show you. Not quite done, and there will be more to be done on it, but that's on us, not on something that you have to be visually concerned about.
Hours in the day.
So this is the project Marty and I have been working on, and it's called A Merry Christmas to You, and the pattern is by Suzn Quilts, and she has a signature design to her stuff, and it's these little tiny Dresden plates. I absolutely love them. They just add so much to it. So we saw this and we said, yep, gotta do it. It's, again, we talked about this. Maybe don't try to get it done for this Christmas.
Yeah, I was going to say everybody likes a challenge, but even this challenge, I don't think I would do that.
Don't be doing that. And what we did
Good for you, though, if you do.
Yeah, really. You have nothing to do between now and Christmas. What we did is, okay, this is the entire piece. And then what she also suggests, if you don't have a place big enough to hang that, she broke it up into the 4 individual components of it.
Yeah, we were only going to do the big one until we flipped over the pattern and just showed the little ones. We're like, dang.
Dang, we had to do them both. So that's why it took us an extra week. But anyways, the other thing too I wanted to show you, we did a little bit of color variation on ours. It has blue in it, and we're just not blue Christmas type of this bead. It's a weird ass blue. It is, I know. So, like the donkey, you know what I mean? That's what how about that? So anyways, that just didn't ring our bells. So what we decided to do is we went with the traditional gold, red, and green. And actually, we channeled a lot of Kim Deal fabrics on this one.
Yeah.
Especially for the reds.
And you can see
I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can see on the picture she did the sawtooth border on the outside all red.
Yes.
And we decided we wanted to mix all of our colors, so we changed that up also.
And I think I like this better.
I do.
I think I like that little bit
that's why
extra,
we changed it.
That pop of color. So anyways, this is what we've been working on. Now, a couple of things we want to talk to you about, first of all. So what we started off first is we had these panels, and then Marty did the embroidery on them.
Yeah, those are not printed, those are embroidered.
Yeah, these are embroidered. So what she did is 2 different styles. This one she did chain stitch with, which is a little bit heavier stitch, and it just gives it a little bit different look here.
I'm going to come closer so I can see the color.
And this one we used a variegated green, brown.
No, this was a brown black.
Brown black? Okay.
Yeah, this was a brown black.
Brown black. And also we did was, did you use transfers on these, or did we use,
no.
You traced them?
No, I traced them. I used a light box because she has them all drawn out to size. Used a light box, traced them off. And actually instead of using a washable marker, I just used a very, a pigment pen. It was
really?
0.1, so it was a nice and fine. So, I mean, and you can see the stitching covers it all up, so you don't have to worry about.
And then on the other set, the individual sets, she used a backstitch.
Backstitch, right.
Yeah.
So that one's a little bit thinner. But again, marked it the same exact way.
It's okay if you use a permanent marker, a fine marker, as long as it's covered up, yes.
Yeah,
so if you look at this, there's a little bit of applique, just a very little bit. The stockings are appliqued, and the little mittens are appliqued. We used a buttonhole stitch. You could do it by hand. You can do whatever your heart desires. But again, it's just a cute. And you know what? I would keep this up after Christmas for a couple of weeks, but then I leave my tree up for a while too. Mm-hmm. So anyways, okay.
So the original wall hanging is, I think 45 by 48 was the size on that. So it's not huge. It really isn't. And everything really went together very well. You've got your Dresden plate. You had a couple of applique blocks.
And for this little tiny sawtooth border, these are 1-inch finished half square triangles. We use triangle paper. So if you have triangle paper 1-inch finished, or if you have the
Fangles.
Fangles or the disc. What is the disc?
Oh, the triangulations.
The triangulations. Print these off and do them, and quick. You don't have to worry about trimming or any oversizing them and trimming or anything like that. So anyways, what I want to show you, because we're going to keep this one kind of short today, what I wanted to show you is how, let's talk about quilting for a minute.
Okay.
We did not get these all completely quilted, believe me, kids. We did basic quilting just to get them up and done.
Yeah, they will need more.
They will need more. So you can do, did you quilt, no, you didn't stitch that
No.
through. Okay.
I basically did the in the ditch work, and that was it.
And the quadrants, and that's what I did on mine too. But if you wanted to, depending on how much you wanted to do, you could come back and you could outline all of the stars. You could do your little 9 patches. You could do your threads, your spools, and the phone rings. Miki will get it. So anyways, these will...
See, and rather than if you didn't want to go just in the edge on that, you can just echo the plates if you want the quilting to show a little bit more.
Right. And you can just go around. And again, you would do free motion.
Yes.
Drop your feed dog and just go around here. And then here, again, you wouldn't need to do anything out there, but if you wanted to, you absolutely could. It's up to you. Now, the biggest question, and Marty and I were talking about that this morning, is what do you do in these big blocks? Because you don't want to leave this unquilted.
You can't not
quilt them. It's got to have something on there. So there's a couple options you've got. You could put monofilament thread on your machine, and you can actually stitch right next to your stitch lines, and that will just get that much down. That's adequate. But you really kind of need to do something a little bit more. You could stipple, I suppose, around them. You could echo around them if you wanted to. Another thing you could do is grit it off. So we haven't decided yet. We'll decide when we get to that point, and it'll look good.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do a little bit more than just echo the lettering, because you can see, like up on the Merry Christmas to You, there's two big spots to leave undone.
Yeah. And then if you want to look at the border, this is one of your favorites.
Yeah, it is.
And it's not a stencil. This is a free motion. But what you do is you come around and loop and loop and loop and this and this, that, up and around and loop and loop and loop. So this is a very easy to do, free form, free motion. And look at, and she did a nice green on top of the red. It's perfect.
Wanted it to show a little bit, but not hugely.
Yep, it's subtle, Marty. It's very subtle.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. So we're going to show you one other thing. We can back around here. Let's talk about these little Dresden plates. These are stitched onto I think a 5.5 inch background, and I did these all by hand. So you don't have to, but I just think that they look better. It's my own personal opinion. Now, if you have done our block of the month, the gnomes at home, is that what it was called? Yeah, it's using the same technique, the same tool, the same everything. It's the same designer, so obviously she carries her things forward. So anyways, I did that all by hand. So what I wanted to show you was how we actually do this. This is a tool, and this is optional. This is not, you don't have to do it this way, but this is what we found the easiest way to do it.
No, I think, does she call it as an optional? You really need it.
Let's
face it. You really need it.
But we decided not to include it because a lot of people have it. So it comes like this, and it's called the Tiny Dresden Plate. You need the tiny size because she does at least one other size.
She's another smaller one,
no,
doesn't
bigger.
she? Oh, bigger?
It's bigger,
okay.
Yeah, so this is the smaller one that she's got.
One is small, one is tiny.
Yes, so this is the one that you need. This one is called the Tiny. So what you've got here, and it tells you right on the back, blah, 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 2-inch strips. Sorry. I was reading as I was blah, blahing. So you have 2-inch strips, all right? And if you cut your 2-inch strips and then fold them in as many times as you feel comfortable, this little ruler, can you come down here and see this? This will fit right on that 2-inch perfectly. So all you have to do, and this is a good time to get out your cutting left-handed techniques.
Or your revolving mat.
Or your revolving mat. That's another way. But if you can cut left-handed, it's much faster. Yeah. So you just cut whatever, how many you've got, flip the little thing over, because you have to make, there's 18 in each set. So yeah, not only did we have to make 18 of those, we had to make 36 of these little guys.
So there's 18 Dresden plates per project, but how many are in each plate?
12.
12, okay.
12.
So 12 times 18. You do the math.
I think it was 96. Does that make sense?
No,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So anyways, you're going to cut out a whole lot of these. You have to just do them in groups of 12. Because having 6 of one and 8 of it doesn't work out.
And that's what, remember from the original picture, they had the blue. They actually did the plates in only the green and the blue. And with us eliminating the blue, we decided then we were just going to evenly distribute the colors among all of them, the red, the green, and the gold.
Excuse me, just Marty, talk amongst yourselves while
Oh.
picking up the phone.
Okay. So it's kind of one of those things that when you go to the original project, I mean, as we said, you've got your basic Dresden plates, you've got you've got a lot of techniques going on in this one small little project. You have just the general piecing of the spools, you have 9 patches, you have star blocks, the embroidery. I mean, there's a lot to it, but it really is in one nice little small package. And I know Terry said she does her embroidery by hand. You can do it by machine also. So that is obviously.
Ooey and ooey. It was more fun to do it by hand.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
I will just tell the really quick story about this by hand. When Marty and I decided to do this, Mike and I had decided to take a real quick trip down to see her son in Florida. So we were out there. 2 older ladies, our white skin hanging out on. We went out by the pool.
Don't paint that picture. That's just nasty.
It's awful. But anyways, in this complex he's in, he has a beautiful pool area, huge pool. So we were all set up at one end. She was reading, and I was stitching away at my little plates. And then all of a sudden I looked and I said, where did the ones go that I just had done? I had done like at least 3 of them. And all of a sudden I looked, and where we were sitting, there was this big fence behind us. And beyond the fence, there was, down in Florida, they have a lot of those catch pools, right? That's full of water in case if they have a hurricane or whatever, I think. All of a sudden, I look down, and there are my little Dresden plates just floating on the little catch pool like little lily pads. And I'm like, son of a gun. I was not going to waste them. So neither one of us were going to jump into that pool. So obviously, we found that really long silver thing that they save people with or whatever they do. And we scooped them out of the pool. So anyways, that was our good times. We laughed about it. But anyways, what I wanted to show you, next step on this. So we've cut all of our pieces. So then what you do is you take them. Can you see from there? Mm-hmm. And I do all this by finger. And this is you're sitting down on the couch at night. So what I did is you fold them in half and you just give them a quick press so that there's a little bit of a line. And at first I thought, oh, you don't need to do this. Yes, you do. You do need to do that little bit of crease. Don't go to the iron and do it like that. That's not necessary. Then and I should have used a different colored thread. You're going to have to really close up on this. So then what you do is you just go to your sewing machine, and I'm going to pretend I'm sewing like this. Can you see this little stitch line? Mm-hmm. You sew 1/4 of an inch from the straight edge. So you just sew and you just keep going. You chain sew them all together so you have these really long strings. Then you take these little guys, and it shows you all this in the pattern and on the instructions for the ruler. You take this and you cut them with a pair of scissors that are sharper. You cut them like that, so it's a little bit of a V you cut out of it. Then you take these, and this is my tip for you. Take it like this, stick your thumb in it, push the seam allowance over, flip it to the outside. Take your scissors, put that in, and poke your point out. Then what you've got is, remember we had that little crease? You line up that seam line on that crease, and then if you want, take this to the ironing board and you press them all, and you have all of these little gnome caps. And because you have that plates, I know. Because you've got that crease line, you know exactly where, because you don't want this to be crooked. You don't want it to be off center. You've got to have it nice and straight. And then let me do that again for you one more time so you see what I did. So you put your thumb up in there, push the seam allowance over, flip it up, take your scissors and poke it up. And flip this down right along that seam allowance and crease it. Then all you're going to do is you're going to start taking these by pairs, and you're going to stitch them 1/4 inch up. Now the big thing you want to do is, I don't care if you start from here or here, but don't stitch off this end. You want to make sure you back stitch and cut your threads. If not, you'll have little threads sticking off this end here. And then so what you end up with is all of your little pairs of plates. You put them all together. And then all I did for the centers is I had, if you have the, okay, what is that plastic called? Templar. And especially, talk amongst yourself for a second.
Oh, good Lord, not again.
Sorry, I just brought this up and I didn't say.
You can either use Templar, or there's this product called Perfect Circles, which is from Karen K. Buckley. And she has a lot of the circle templates in the heat-resistant template plastic that you can use. She does perfect circles, perfect ovals, perfect leaves, I think in a couple different sizes. So you can also use that product if it's in your arsenal.
They look like this. So you just find out which centerpiece it is. And this is kind of like making a yo-yo. You cut your circles, you gather it around, you pull it up, and then you hit this with your iron. So that's how I made my centers. And then you just put your centers on, applique them onto the center of your plate, and you've got your plates all done. So you just stack them up and you're ready to put them in. So that's really, there's nothing difficult. It's, if you enjoy the hand sewing, it's time consuming without a doubt, but I enjoyed it. It's a perfect take with you project. And I will have to say too, because we basically have, if you think about it, we have the green, we have the red, and we have the gold. I used the silk thread because that's my favorite to do applique with. And I used a medium gray on all of these, and it worked perfectly because the silk thread just blends right in with it. So anyways, this is the Christmas project, maybe for next year. And, or if you want, as I said, be
excited about it for this year.
Yeah, be excited. Or start it this year.
Yeah.
Start it this year. There's nothing said you have to finish it. So anyways, just a quick note for those of you who are waiting for your emergency packs. Long story short, buttons haven't come in yet. I'm mailing everything else out. You'll get your buttons as soon as they come in. So that's that. Marty said that to tell you to, oh, you can tell them about FFs.
Yeah, this week's fabulous fabric finds are all Christmas fabrics. We decided to do a theme this year. So everything on there is a Christmas fabric, $8 a yard. First come, first serve. When they're gone, they're gone. And the other thing that I wanted to mention too is that I forgot to grab it for you, and I'm not going to make you talk amongst yourselves again. So down below I will note the two Valdani threads that I used to do the embroidery on these guys.
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea. And we've got on there, if you decide you want the ruler and it's not something you have, that's on there. Should we put these on, or do enough people have these? Nah, probably not. If you really have a need for them, let us know. We can get them to you, okay? So anyways, that's it for you, for us. I hope your Christmas preparations are going well.
So the kits are all listed below. And the thing is one kit will either do the big one or it will do all four of them. It's not like it's two separate kits.
Right, exactly. It is not two separate kits.
So you can go either way on it, whichever way you want to do it.
Okay, bye.